So let's address this, man. First, I'm gonna address the second part of the title. You know, people are always talking about your ancestors died for your right to vote, and I'm gonna lit this one up. People always say your ancestors died for your right to vote. I want to know which ancestors, first of all. Which ancestors are y'all even talking about? I'm tired of hearing this shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all just be saying stuff at this point. You know what I'm saying? You can't name which ancestors died for that right. We gotta cut that out. My ancestors did this, that, and the third. Alright? And you don't have to honor your ancestors by only doing one thing that they died for. See, I know it wasn't Marcus Garvey. I know it wasn't Malcolm X. I know it wasn't Huey P. Newton. I know it wasn't Elijah Muhammad. I know it wasn't Martin Luther King. Which ancestors y'all talking about? Because I might not even respect those ancestors anyway. They could probably be here today and I might not agree with them in totality. So I just want to cut that out. Like, which ancestors died for your right to vote that you gonna keep using that as your excuse and your reason to vote? Number one, the political process definitely does go deeper than a right to vote. Which one was it? Because they died for so many different things. I know Martin Luther King died because he was trying to preach a message about economic boycotting, economic prosperity. Oh, I'm going to get to the Zionist part in a second. We're going to get to the Zionist part. Don't even worry about it. I know Martin Luther King got knocked down. He was killed by this government because he started talking about economics. And he was going to rock with the black Muslims in America. That's why he was taken out. So if you want to die for something, how come you ain't riding for that right? Malcolm X was on a global mission, a humanitarian mission to get human rights for melanated people. Human rights. Y'all not fighting for truth. Human rights. He believed in, how come nobody ever say my ancestors died for my right for reparations? I never hear that. Nobody ever says they died for my right to reparations. Nobody ever says they died so I can be highly intelligent and educated. Why we act like ancestors was one monolithic people in the past that all agreed with each other and died for one thing? I ain't never heard nobody say they died so they can be highly educated and wealthy and part of a wealth class and have ownership in land and be farmers and ranchers and scientists and engineers. I don't hear that. So they didn't die for that. You gotta cut it out, man. Y'all gotta stop using that old stuff because we not allowing that in 2024. There are certain things that we can't take into this new year. We just gotta cut it out. We just cutting it at the root. No ancestors wanted to die so yo raggedy ass could vote. They wanted freedom. They wanted justice. They wanted equity. Text bro. That's what they wanted. Fred Hampton didn't die for no right to vote. So I think we can end with that conversation right there. That's done for. Now, let's move forward. The reason I say pro-Zionist up there. The reason it says that up there because we don't know how to observe a people's strategy in order to do the same thing that other people do. Zionists are the best lobbyists on this planet. Them, gun lobbyists, LGBT lobbyists, they are a lobbyist group that is so powerful in America. They're not depending on a vote. They utilizing their dollar. The Zionists say that we are God's chosen people. That's what they say. Now, melanated people say the same thing. Some of us. Some of y'all say it. Some of y'all don't believe that. If there was anything that our ancestors died for, it was they died for that right for you to know and have some knowledge of self and for you to act like God's chosen people. You think we went through 400 years of persecution? For you to not be walking around here like this world is yours, it got to mean something. Otherwise, it was pointless. And it definitely didn't mean no right to vote. Voting is supposed to be, it means to an end. And you only have voting rights because we're not even constructed in America under a nationality correctly in order to be operating in the right poise. in the right manner. It ain't, listen, here's the thing. Somebody said it'd be a big mistake to follow the strategy of a Zionist. Why? They running the world. Don't you want power? Don't you want relenting power? Let's talk about it like for real. Let's just talk about it for real. What do they do and what is their operation and what can you learn from each people? See, I'm gonna tell you the biggest bag and trick is for you to compare black and white. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. You start comparing black and white. Well, I'm black and they white and this is that. Man, no. Black people will not catch up to white people's wealth worried about white people's wealth. It ain't gonna work like that. They always put it on the TV screens. Here's the black man's wealth and here's white man's wealth. Uses our income 17,000, y'all they at 171,000. Unless all black people start owning houses that compare their advantage is based on a systematic history in how these families have been set up consequentially. That even if we make the same money, your net worth is not the same. So even having the black and white set up, hey, this is what black people make, white people make, it's already a scam. It's already a scam. See, if you want to correctly look at America, black people would have to start comparing themselves. If we're looking at strategies and how people move in America, you got to look at the Asian group. You got to look at the Jewish group. You got to look at the East Asian group and look at their operations. There's 100+ million so-called whites in America. The 45 million is not going to have a comparative advantage of people who are implemented and coordinated in strategy across the board. No, I'm not pro-Zionist. I'm giving you some game, so just listen. You know damn well I ain't no pro-Zionist. I'm far from it. I put that title up there so y'all can tap in and understand the message behind it. That's it. We all talk about free Palestine, man. They out there murdering them people. You know what I'm saying? Shit. We God's chosen people. We want to talk about it, and ain't no scholar on this planet Earth that can tell me different. And if you don't agree with that, then you anti-me. You feel me, the true chosen people. Let's be real. So now let's get to it. Even in America right now, renting is, from an average standpoint versus owning, right, is more advantageous. But the game is set up to where we supposed to compare ourselves to false metrics and have this hope or have no hope that things can ever change. So year over year, they show us the same stat. But why they never compare black people to Asians or black people to Latinos? Now, don't get me wrong, right? We are still at the bottom quintile when it comes to wealth and when it comes to many things. But one thing I was studying, as you look at the different spending powers of each group, you look at the percentage of what they spend their money on per category. Now, the one thing, who do y'all think spend the most money on education? Because there's a correlation between education and wealth. Who do y'all think spend the most money? So somebody say black people, some say Muslim people, some say poor people. Those are definitely all wrong. But most of the answer that came in at first says Asians. You would be correct. Ding, ding, ding. And Asians are also the ones that are making the most money, highest income group in America. And it's almost by double. So they're almost spending double the amount of every other group. And I believe second it might have been whites. Now, whites is an interesting category of people because whites are including a multitude of different ethnic backgrounds. Because there's really no such thing as white people, right? Like there's no real such thing as black people, right? So when you say white, are you you talking about Anglo-Saxon American? You talking about Italian? You talking about Russian, right? What are you talking about exactly when you say white? Who is considered to be a part of this category called white? That matters. That was only created so that they can form a super alliance of people who say we're all a part of this group and our group is against another group. That's it. But it's not a real thing. It is a group. It is a people who say they are in a race for time, for control over time and control over power and control over space. That's what race is about. And depending on what group you are in, and this is why they show statistics, because they're showing you how far ahead in time another group is ahead of you. Right? That's what the race politics is all about and nothing more. It's to subjugate you into a winning or a losing group. So, why would we study people who are in third place? No, we study people depending on the category and what the strategy is. We study those who are in first place. We study those who are in second place. We study those who are in third. We study the winners. The Jewish group, as a group, have been winning. So we stop in any field across the planet Earth when there's a person that is overwhelmingly just winning across the borders. You study the winners. You study the Jordans and the LeBrons and the Kobe's and the Kyries and the Jaylen Browns of the game because they're winning. So you say, what are the winners doing? But instead of looking at the winners, they tell us to only look at white folks, even whether white folks are winning or losing. So it's like you are in a race, and maybe you in last place, and maybe white people came in third. And then they're going to show you white people's stats and be like, yeah, they finished in 1 minute, and y'all finished in 3 minutes. And the whole time, they didn't even win the race. It was an Asian guy up there, and he might have got down finished in 30 seconds. So, no, we want to study the routine of the winners. But they want you to continue to be in this fight against this race so that it keeps you stuck in the past. When it comes to culture and influence and spirit and magic, right, and all those things, definitely we study ourselves, but the cultivation of that to turn that into a system, right, we study those people who make systems. Unfortunately, we have not been the greatest systematic people in the last 400-500 years. So we study the system creators so we can bottle. We study the managerial class so we can manage ourselves, and therefore we can operate off our own magic and be self-sustaining without the necessity to need anyone else. It's truly simple. The most dangerous thing in the world is not a black man picking up a gun, it's him using his mind. And not only dangerous as that, is a smart, intelligent black man that is in love with a black woman and wants nothing else in the world. He don't want war with nobody. He don't want nothing else but to see his family rise. He want to see his queen smiling and beautiful. He want to see his child living in luxury and power and rulership. That's it. That's the fear. That's the fear that they have completely. They're not worrying about you picking up guns. They're not worrying about you shooting. They're not worrying about nothing. They're worrying about you loving yourself and taking care of your own. Because then you start to actually play the game like everybody else. Oh, no, the people with the most guns ain't the one that's going to win this with the knowledge and the skill set, know-how, and operations. So even if you want to talk voting and all of that stuff, right? You have to have a strategy before you go just fill out a ballot. You don't just say, my ancestors died for my right to fill out a ballot to vote for a white man. Man, that's what to die for. Man, I might want to hear that cap. Because I go back and tell my ancestors, listen, just chill out on dying for this. It ain't even worth it. It ain't even worth it. Don't even boycott the buses. Focus on building your own. Don't even try to get Ruby Bridges in the school. Don't worry about board versus educate. Don't worry about that. Let's build up our own school. Let's just focus on that. All right? Because once you get in a class with them other weirdo kids in the future, man, they gonna even be trying to take black history out. They ain't even want to teach what y'all doing right now. They gonna be like, say word. I'm gonna be like, yeah. Not only that, they gonna be having like drag queens coming in, teaching y'all kids all kind of weird stuff. You know what I mean? The teachers gonna be trying to have sex with the little kids. It's always little white teachers. White women teachers for some reason too. Some crazy stuff going on. I'm like, y'all might want to stay out the education system. They gonna be like, wait a minute. They gonna be like, say word. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's the future. I'll go back to them and talk to them about the future and be like, it's ugly up there, man. I'm there.